Broadly, there are two important changes taking place in our daily life. They are physical changes and chemical changes. In a physical change, there is only a change in the physical properties of the substance, like shape, size, appearance, and state of the substance. No new substance is formed because there is no change in the chemical composition of the substance in a physical change. Let us see some examples of physical changes taking place in our daily life. First one is melting of ice. Here you can see how how ice melts to form liquid water, and this liquid water on freezing changes back into solid water, that is ice. The second example is boiling of water. Here you can see how liquid water changes into gas on boiling, and this gas on cooling changes back into liquid water. Now, both melting of ice and boiling of water are physical changes because there is only a phase change here, that is solid changes to liquid state and liquid changes to gaseous state, and it is a temporary change because it is reversible. It is considered to be reversible because gas can change back into liquid phase and liquid can change back into solid phase. Here you can see that no new substance is formed because water does not change its chemical composition. That's why melting of ice and boiling of water are considered to be physical changes. In a chemical change, there is a change in the chemical properties of the substance, like change in state of the substance, change in the color of the substance, change in the temperature of the substance, or there is an evolution of a gas. Here, new substance is formed which has different chemical properties from the original substance. Therefore, it is a permanent change. Some examples of chemical change taking place in our daily life are curdling of milk and frying of an egg. Both these changes are chemical changes because they are permanent changes. See what it means. Here you can see the differences between chemical and physical changes. As we know, in a chemical change, a chemical reaction takes place and it forms new products. Here are a few examples of chemical changes taking place in our daily life. First one is combustion. Now combustion is considered to be a chemical change because here the log of wood burns and gives rise to ash. The ash which is formed is totally different from the log of wood, and this ash cannot be changed back into the log of wood. It's a permanent change, and the new product formed here is ash. That's why it's a chemical change. The second one is rotting of fruit. Once the fruit has rotted, it cannot be changed back into a fresh fruit. That's why rotting of fruit is also a chemical change because it is a permanent change. The third one is rusting of iron nail. Once the iron nail is rusted, it cannot be changed back into a brand new iron nail. It's a permanent change. And the fourth one is digestion of food in our stomach. Once the food is digested in our stomach due to chemical reactions taking place, it undergoes a chemical change, permanent chemical change. Hence, digestion of food is also a chemical change. Then we come to physical change. We already know that matter in a physical change, matter changes form but not its chemical identity, and we have seen the examples of melting and boiling of water where only the phases changes, that is solid changes to liquid, liquid changes to gas, and vice versa. It is gas changes back to liquid, liquid changes back to solid. There is no change in the chemical composition of the water remains the same. That's why melting and boiling of water considered to be physical changes. Then shredding of paper is also physical change because here the identity of the paper does not change. In shredding of paper, only the paper is shredded into small parts. Only the shape and the size of the paper changes, not the chemical identity of the paper. That's why it's a physical change. In case of chopping of wood, also the chemical identity of the wood does not change, it remains the same. Only the wood is chopped into small pieces. So only the shape and the size of the wood changes, not the chemical identity of the wood. That's why chopping is also considered as a physical change. Hope you have understood the difference between chemical and physical changes.